Hello everyone and welcome back to Video Games Are the Worst Thing on Earth. With me is Kay.
Hello.
And joining us for this special edition of Video Games Are the Worst Thing on Earth is David, aka Celestia. Hello, Celestia.
Hey folks. Slowly forgetting everything I know about game design and replacing it with Elden Ring knowledge.
Exactly.
That's a good idea.
As David has hinted at, and we've probably talked about in the intro, the cold open or whatever. This episode, even though usually we talk about how bad video games are, we're talking about Elden Ring because it's the only thing that we can talk about, because it's the only thing that we've invested mental time and energy into for like the past 2 weeks. So we have no choice, if we wanted to do an episode, which we do, to talk about anything but Elden Ring.
Yeah. I only know Elden Ring. I swear I used to know other things, but that's gone to me now.
Agreed. Yeah, it's insanely deep. Just how much you can get into Elden Ring. It's like, this is my first not From Software game, but first Dark Souls From Software game. Everyone asks, like, is this your first FromSoft game? And I'm like, no, bitch. I played Armored Core.
That's right, because you're a man of culture. Armored Core was good as hell.
Well, Armored Core 4 and 4 Answer were fucking incredible. I haven't played the games before that, but Armored Core 5 was kind of ugh.
I've never actually played 5. 4 Answer was my last one, and I have it on good account. I should keep it that way.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. 4 Answer just fucking whips, and all these Johnny come lately Dark Souls fans.
these fake FromSoft
These
piggies.
fake FromSoft fans are like, man, I love FromSoft. And I'm like, what's your favorite game? And they're like, the Dark Souls. And I'm like, wrong, bitch. It's Armored Core Last Raven. You piece
Zero
of
mechs
shit.
in Dark Souls. Delete it from your PC. So
this is a stealth criticism.
So you having not played a Soulsborne before I'm very interested in your take on this game because of that. David, are you a veteran of the Souls Wars?
I played original Dark Souls a bunch, played maybe half of Dark Souls 2 and 3, Bloodborne a couple of times, Sekiro a couple of times.
You played Demon Souls.
Haven't played Demon Souls. Have watched far too many speedruns.
I have to kick you off the podcast for being a fake fan.
What I would say, you probably already know this, but what I would say to anyone listening is, you can emulate. There's PS3 emulators. You can play Demon Souls. I highly recommend it because it's hard to play legitimately. You either need a PS3, which I don't even know how hard it is to get one of those anymore, or a PS5, cheap, which is impossible to get.
PS3s you can get on eBay for like $80.
Okay, so is it still quite common to see secondhand ones going around?
For now, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's not hit the I don't know what you would call it, like the inverse bell curve of value, where it's like
the full like retro market.
Yeah, it hasn't hit the retro market. Yeah. Like, I'm starting to think that I'm starting to see like the original Xbox and like GameCube kind of hit that, and I'm like, oh my god.
Oh yeah, I've heard it's hard to get a GameCube that isn't like a stupid price now, because it's become a classic collectible sort of thing now. Because we're old.
I know, it's so fucking weird to see, like, okay, original Xbox games are retro now, and I'm like, what? No, and I crumble into dust.
Yeah, I can feel my bones withering.
Time well spent. Well spent sinking hundreds of hours into From Software games.
Yeah. FromSoft, I didn't get, like, here's the thing, I didn't play like a From Software game until the 360 Armored Core 4 Answer, which I didn't actually want to get, but was like on sale for $20 at Black Friday, So my mom was just like, it's like, well, this is only $20, so we'll get it too. I'm like, okay, whatever. I guess I'll play it. And I was like, okay, this, and it ended up being one of my favorite games ever on the 360.
Yeah, it was sick.
Just to, fully expunge what like a tasteless moron I am. The fucking game I wanted to get at that Black Friday sale was like, Brothers in Arms Hell's Highway is the game that I was like, I want to get this because it looks so cool. It's a World War II shooter. It's 2008. And it was
2008.
And it's so fucking mediocre. And that was like $20 too. And then like the two games that were on sale for like $20 was like that and then Armored Core for Answer. And if it wasn't for my mom buying Armored Core for Answer, I would have been stuck with a shitty fucking third person World War II game that was like horrifically mediocre. So
that's like a butterfly effect moment.
I know.
Like the possible Altons.
Exactly.
Oh, I don't want to see alternate timeline Alton who doesn't know about how dope mechs are.
It's just a sad person who doesn't understand that mechs are cool.
And loves the US military.
That's right. I mean, I don't know if I would have loved the US military after playing Hell's Highway. Like, this fucking sucks. Why is it so boring? Getting more back on topic, I guess we should talk about Elden Ring. One of the things I was saying is that it reminds me a lot of Morrowind in quite a few aspects. Like, this is something that the Elder Scrolls series just threw in the trash for no goddamn reason. But what it does in that a lot of games seemingly don't do anymore is that it's realized that gating off areas with tough as hell enemies is much more satisfying than just having scaling enemies.
It makes the world feel a lot more alive. If you go somewhere and it's like, this is too hard, I'm gonna fucking turn around and go the other way and see what's over there. And that's really fun, because then you go the other way and that's maybe more where you're supposed to be. You get stronger, you come back later, and you shit kick something that one-shot you earlier, and you're like, oh, I've gotten stronger.
Exactly.
Wow.
Like, the progression mechanics are just incredibly good. Yeah. It reminds me quite a bit. I've been binging Harris Bomber Guy videos recently for some reason.
That's so weird. Me too. Just the past few days.
I rewatched his video on Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas.
Yeah.
Which are both make very good points about the differences between the games. Like Fallout 3, it's a lot more in that Oblivion vein where all the enemies scale to you, so you can technically go do end game content at the beginning of the game, and it will be scaled to your pitiful level. And and then it contrasts with something like New Vegas, which I think most people would agree is much better. The enemies in that don't scale to your level, because there's like the direct path to get to the Vegas Strip is basically nothing but end game enemies who will one-shot you if you try to go through it.
Yeah.
And so it encourages you to take this long circuitous path like around the south and like loop back around to the Las Vegas Strip, which includes a ton of like side quests and companions you can get and ways to get stronger. And I can't help but think about that when I play Elden Ring, because it's like I feel like one of the big problems with it, with that style of difficulty, is that sometimes it's difficult to know where the fuck you're supposed to go next.
Yeah.
Because it's like I got into like Lernia of Lake Lernia or whatever it's called region.
Is it Liurna?
Liurna. Yeah, and it's like
I can never remember the names of places in this fucking game.
Going there from Limgrave, like the starting area, you go into that place and you're like, Jesus fuck, these enemies are tough. And like, let's not even talk about Caelid, like an area right next to the starting region of the game, and it's just like the most badass monsters that you can possibly fight.
Yeah, Caelid is really the place where you go there and it's like, I'm gonna turn around and go the other way.
Exactly.
Yeah, I did that at least 3 times.
Mhm.
It's like, I'll give this another go, but oh no, there's even more of those giant dogs.
Why is everything turning red?
The fucking giant dogs, the fucking giant crows. The crows are
Mm.
bastards.
The crows. Ooh, yeah,
hate 'em.
vicious.
Just evil little creatures.
And that's in every From Software game. The birds are the most annoying enemy.
I can see it. Like, I hate the bats. I hate the birds.
Oh, the fucking bats, the birds. They started taking the piss with flying enemies just because they gave you a jump button.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolute sickos. But going back to my original point, like, another thing that it reminds me of Morrowind is the fact that items in the world are statically placed. And like, if if you're fast and don't mind getting like curb stomped a couple times, you can just like run to end game areas and get like extremely powerful items.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, I've been banging this drum for fucking years, but I hate the sort of Skyrim procedurally generated chests at the end of dungeons that just have nothing in them. Elden Ring is kind of perfectly designed for replayability because a lot of important like weapons and talismans are in these little side dungeons, and it's like I don't need to go there. All right, I know there's a sorcery down there, and I'm a strength character, so I don't need to go there. I can do other things.
Exactly.
The game doesn't have to be 100 hours long unless you want to be a completionist, and you can just go and like get the stuff you need, and then just get into fucking fighting bosses and stuff. It's really good once you've played it once and you know where shit is.
Yeah.
You also have the fun of just like extremely important items just being like lying on some dude's body in a corner.
Yeah,
of the
rules.
map.
If you know where to get something, you can just beeline for it and just like duck and dodge and weave and get it. And it's like, I think my fondest memories of Morrowind is stealing the Redoran vault key from like the Vivek quarter, and just going straight to the fucking vaults, opening it up, waiting like an hour until the guard leaves the room, closing the door, and just feasting on like end game treats in like this huge vault. Because it's like, that's the best fucking thing about Morrowind is like, if you know where good things are, you can just go get them. Something about that game design for items feels a million times better than, as Kay said, like the procedurally generated chest full of like 2 gold pieces and an apple that you get.
Yeah.
It helps sort of create a more like coherent like map of the world in your head. Like you're not just sort of like knowing that like, yeah, this city's here, this path is here, or that kind of thing, but like this item I need is here. I know that I can like dodge past this enemy by going this way. Just like having that kind of consistency to like things in the world really helps like build out that kind of like virtual map in your brain.
I can see that. You know what it's like? It's like if somebody combined a map and an advent calendar. You just put all these little treats around. It builds a treat network in your brain.
Yeah, it does a bit. There's a logic to it that I appreciate, right? Like most of the sorcery stuff is in the sorcery area. Caelid, that's infested with scarlet rot. There's a lot of scarlet rot stuff. There's a lot of resistance stuff. You go to the capital, that's all like lightning and holy knights and stuff, and it's faith shit. Like it's really everything just makes sense in a way. And I love it. And I think I was also on Morrowind. I wanted to say I feel like that game is kind of the king of rewarding like players' game knowledge. The shit you can do if you know what to do and how to do it is they eagerly allow you to break it, which is why it's such a shame that Skyrim is so streamlined and doesn't want you to break it. It's like it's a single player fucking game. Let me, I want to, let me fuck it up.
Let's take a look at like, the evolution of Dark Souls is like it took them 12 years to add a jump button, right? But as soon as they fucking added a jump button, they did it for a reason, because they knew that if they added it, the level design would have to just go fucking crazy with, and they did. And that's one of the reasons why Elden Ring's level design is like the most, I would say, I'm not a veteran of the Souls games, so I can't really say how it compares to the other games, but it's incredibly vertical. Like,
I think that Dark Souls and Bloodborne has always been remarkably vertical for how like limited the mobility of your character is, but I would say Elden Ring has definitely taken it up a notch massively.
yeah,
And it shows.
compare
like, it's
that
really, really good.
to the Elder Scrolls series, where the Morrowind starts, like the first big one. You know, I guess some people played Daggerfall if you're like a nerd or something, or Arena, but Morrowind, this beautifully realized 3D world, and it lets you fucking levitate.
Yeah.
And like, imagine having to design a game with levitation in mind. And they fucking do. And not only do they design around levitate being a thing, they expect you to use it at certain points. Because you've got like these wizard towers by the Telvanni, who are like these crazy wizard dark elves who grow their own homes out of like giant mushrooms. And they're wizards, so the design of their houses account for you just being able to fly.
Yeah,
great.
I love that. You get there and like, there's no stairs. Oh,
'Cause
this
why
is a
would there be?
wizard house. Yeah, why would there be? Like, they thought about it.
And they strip that out of like all subsequent Elder Scrolls games. Like, you went from being able to literally fly to just kind of being able to jump around in Oblivion. Which is devastating.
You can tell that it was a small studio, or a comparatively small studio, when they made Morrowind, and their heart was still in it. You know, like it makes a difference. And by Skyrim, it feels like every part of it was made by an individual like department who never fucking spoke to the rest of them. You know, it feels like a game that was made in a million pieces and then kind of assembled at the end, and nothing really quite sticks together and makes sense. It's got no personality in a lot of ways, I think, because of that. Whereas in Morrowind, every area does.
And yeah, also that like desire that the player should just be able to access all content at the start, regardless. Like that was even sort of like the marketing pitch for Skyrim, the classic like, you see that mountain, you can climb it.
You see that mountain, you can install a mod that turns it into an enormous persona that steps on it.
Yeah.
Which admittedly is, I would say that you know, in the one department that the Elder Scrolls thoroughly beats Elden Ring in, is the strange porn mods. I don't have that yet, but I'm sure, given the rabid like the rabid affinity people seem to have for the witch Rani and Fia, the deathbed companion, it's only a matter of time.
That's true. That is true.
Going back to what we were saying before about the like verticality as well. Yeah, Bloodborne and Dark Souls 1 definitely both have that like verticality as well, but it's really kind of like it's kind of on one axis. It's like in Dark Souls, like you can either like go up towards Anor Londo or go way down towards the Four Kings. And it's just kind of like that structures the whole thing. Whereas Elden Ring, it's like this just mess of tunnels and caves and
jumping
tops.
puzzles. They have fucking jumping puzzles in the game now, which like I do not think they could have actually done in previous games. I mean, my understanding is that you had to like press 3 buttons simultaneously to jump.
I think you could only, in Dark Souls, you could only do running jumps. You had to be sprinting and then press another button to jump. And there were jumping segments, and they were evil.
Yeah.
Like, whereas now, like, they've got the jumping down. It feels pretty good, I would have to say. Like, the jumping in Elden Ring feels very comfortable. I don't know if it's like Super Mario Brothers like tier or whatever, but it doesn't need to be. It feels good enough to get to where you're going, and there aren't that many punishing jumping puzzles, except when there's like a treat, a particularly well hidden treat that you need to get to, and it tests you.
Yeah, it tests you for little treats, but it's never gonna. I don't think it makes you do any crazy jumping shit for like just beating the game. You don't really have to.
Yeah, no,
just for little treats.
Fuck me. Can you imagine if there was just like a Mario 64 level in fucking Elden Ring? You just had to go jump. You had to do like fucking moving platform jumping puzzles. That'd be pretty cool.
I mean, I haven't been into all of the dungeons, so I can imagine that being somewhere.
That's true. I love the way they've done the dungeons because you never know what you're gonna fucking get when you head down there. Like, there's a few big underground areas where like you just walk into a dungeon and you get on a little lift and it starts going down, and you're just like, you're sitting there, it's going down. It's going down kind of a long time. Okay, this is going down a really long time. And then the walls around you open up as you're still descending, and you see this like huge underground castle. It's like, oh, this is an area that I'm gonna spend hours in. This is not just a little dungeon.
No, it's not a dungeon. It's a whole new fucking region of the game, which is insane. Like, you open up the map when you first get it, and you look at like just the continent-sized fucking game world that FromSoft made, and you're just like, okay, well, this is gonna take a really long time. This is a big game. And then you fucking go down the enormous elevator that takes you into a whole new region of the game, and you're like, oh my god. And you unlock the map segment, like the underground map segment.
Yeah. Guess what? Now you're toggling between the fucking overground and underground map, asshole. Enjoy playing this game for 5,000 hours. Yeah, for the rest of your life.
We own you now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god.
It's like, I don't know how it's sort of incredible, like, how much attention to detail is put into this world, even because it's so huge. It's like every area, I would say, very much unlike some like Elder Scrolls things. You know, when you're wandering around the open world in Elder Scrolls, they're just fucking spawning random, you know, basically monsters to come attack you. But in Elden Ring, the entirety of the world is like handcrafted, so that every encounter is like made specifically for that occasion. Like, when you've get to like the gate in Limgrave going to the Storm Highlands, or the Troll Country or whatever it's called, like, you walk through and a fucking giant jumps down and starts attacking you.
Yeah, I don't think there's any RNG encounters, and it's so much better for it. Like, you'll go to enemy camps and you'll start fighting them, and you'll realize the camp has like a second level up on a cliff, and they've got a ballista that is now fucking firing at you while you've engaged their knights on the lower level, and like, everything is just so good.
Yeah, it's like these monsters are just always setting up traps for you.
They want to fuck you up. They know you're coming and they hate you.
Exactly. Which gets to another point about the game, which is that for some reason Dark Souls have Twitter in it. And I bring it up because, you know, one of the cool things is that players can put down little signs and say, like, beware left when there's like an ambush coming.
Yeah.
But mostly they just put it in front of blank walls to be like, secret passage ahead.
Actually, Elden Ring cut through to the mainstream in a way that the Dark Souls games never did. I don't know why. It's just selling crazy. And I think the greatest indicator of that is the signs, because in Dark Souls there were always like fake signs being like, jump off here, wink. It's nothing, you just die. But I feel like even in Dark Souls 3 on release, they were plentiful, but not so much it became ridiculous. But I just feel like there's all these giddy new players in this game who are like, oh, I'm going to get people. So every fucking wall it just has like a hidden path ahead.
There's a million. Listen, Elden Ring has a million fucking walls, and every single one of them has like a thing saying secret passage ahead in front of them. And there's a million fucking cliffs.
Try jumping.
There's a million fucking cliffs, and there's always a message on the cliff that says try jumping required ahead.
Yeah.
Or if it's funnier, it's like no maidens, therefore try jumping.
See, those are good.
See, like, everyone has like different. The thing is, everyone has like different messages that they hate and like think are just spammed way too much, and they despise them. But it's different for everyone. So, for example, I cannot stand the secret passage ones because they're just like such a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Because it's like, just frustratingly stupid. Because it gets in the way of like genuine messages that would hint you into something like that. And then also I hate the ones that are like, try jumping next to a cliff, because it's like so stupid. And then like the insane thing about it is like I see one of those messages and then just like a million bloodstains around it somehow. which honestly, that aspect of Elden Ring has deeply damaged my faith in humanity.
That's gotta be so fucking funny for the person who puts the sign down. I bet they revisit it now and then and just look at the bloodstains. Like, nice. I was gonna say I'm gonna invert it here, and I'm gonna tell you the ones that I love, which is whenever there's a gap just in like an area that's you can't actually, like, the player can't actually go through it. There will be a sign. In the old games it would just say fatty, and I don't think you can say fatty anymore, so in the new games it says plump sort.
Huh?
You can't get through the small gap.
Nice.
I love it. It's great.
Do you know those so these non-hostile creatures, well, usually not hostile, sometimes they are, that are like these sentient rock balls. And they're this worm formed of like these orbs of rock.
Yeah.
And so at one of the Everjails, they're like standing straight up. So it's just like imagine a bunch of like orbs stacked on top of each other, right? And next to one of them was someone had put a sign that said, "If only I had a massive butt hole."
I've seen one like that, yeah.
And I think that those messages are incredible. So I have read people say they absolutely hate those. They're like,
what? Those are great.
I know. It's like they're like, I can stand the people telling me to jump off cliffs, but I hate it when people make butthole jokes.
Listen, butts are funny. That's never going to change, folks. That's just how it is.
And when we're talking about this,
simple biology, we
have to bring up how there was like an international incident, I guess you could say, where Japanese players were finding like the auto-translated messages, because in their game it says whatever you put in that field in Japanese, right?
Yeah.
Because it has like a template message, so it works across all languages. However, people were spamming fort as in a fort and night, and just putting Fortnite everywhere as a joke. and fucking Japanese players would be seeing this and seeing fort and night in Japanese, and they're like, "Oh, there must be some kind of event at a fort at night."
Yeah, because crucially in this game there are times of day and there are secret things that only appear at night. Exactly. So completely sensible conclusion, but no, Westerners are just fucking brain damaged. It's fine. Exactly.
Like, then they had it was very funny seeing like the thread of like that one Japanese gamer explaining how it was like it's actually people spamming Fortnite the game. Oh, fuck.
Just saying it is a joke, all right? Don't worry about it. Everything's fine.
I can't tell. I feel like I laughed at that one a couple of times, but I'm wondering, I think I might start to get sick of that one.
I once saw one I loved that was 3 in a row, and the first one said like Fort Morning, one said Fort Day, and then the last one said Praise the Night or something like that. I was like, this is good. I like this. This works.
That's how I have it.
Yeah.
Have you found any good messages, David?
No, I'll say to Kay, I'm playing on a less than legally acquired version, so the only messages I'm getting are the From Software inserted hint messages. Which it's interesting itself to like playing these games in like offline mode. It does highlight all of the like fake online stuff that they put in the games.
They do that. They do that quite a bit. Like they have offline NPC invaders, and like they have offline bloodstains and messages, and it's like it's almost like they're trying to like deliberately blend it into like their online game, so you can't tell what's like something that they put in. You can basically tell the invaders. But like the bloodstains and messages are like identical to the ones everyone else leaves.
Which does make it pretty hilarious to play offline. Say like, oh, there's like the first message I've seen in like 8 hours. There must be something important over there.
Interesting. Yeah, what kind of message? Can you remember any of those? Because like I can't tell the difference because I just stopped reading the messages eventually because I was like, oh, it's telling me to jump off a cliff. How fun!
I feel like there are fewer in this than in some of the previous games, but like, yeah, it's mostly just kind of tutorialized hints and that kind of thing.
I say.
I do enjoy the NPC invaders. It gives me a bit of that PvP feel while still being like actually a computer I can beat rather than a human I definitely can't beat.
Well, honestly, we should probably talk about the PvP at some point. I know, Celestia, you won't be able to contribute to this, but I've been doing some co-op with Kay and Reese, and I think I can go out on a limb here and say probably the greatest feeling in the world is bullying somebody who invaded your world. Because it's like they volunteered to just be a dick and like try and kill you, right?
I love it.
But like there's like 3 of us and we just surround him and just give him the beat down of his life.
So this game does something I don't love, which is you can opt into invasions when you're alone, but otherwise you only get invaded when you've got at least one friend summoned. So it means if you're invading, you just need to assume you're going to be fighting against groups.
Right.
So it's created this thing where certain, like a solo, like one-on-one dueling PvP build might not be good for invading. You might need something totally different that's better for fighting like 2-3 people. So it's created this totally different adjacent PvP meta kind of, which I think is interesting. And it's also really fucking hard because you got to fight 2 or 3 people.
Exactly. I mean, listen, I'm not a PvP guy. I don't usually play PvP in games. I don't like it. I don't like getting angry. I don't like going gamer mode because I get very competitive and I'm simultaneously not very good. And I recognize that, so I usually avoid it. So the fact that like people are sort of they're sort of like butting themselves into my fun co-op time with friends is just like an excuse to just go fucking apeshit on them. From like a meanest perspective, just teabagging their corpses, like spamming those gourds that like say thank you, thank you, thank you.
Alton is so toxic in Elden Ring, and I love it. It's great.
They chose to invade, so
yeah,
that's right.
Exactly.
They signed up
it's like
for the pain.
They volunteered. It's like nobody made you invade. You chose to do this. It's time for pain.
Thank you.
And I think that is honestly like one of the funniest things. It's so fucking funny. Just like watching like somebody panic as like the 3 of us, we're all on Discord. We're already getting sweaty strats out,
Yeah.
So we're like coordinating our efforts. We're like surrounding them, coming at them from all sides. And I don't know. I feel like if there's got to be PvP, like just to play co-op, then it's at least funny when we can bully the invader. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and on the other side of that, I've been doing, honorable 1v1 duels lately. I've been streaming that a bit, and it's really fun right now because the game is so new, a meta hasn't really settled, certain things are obviously overpowered,
Right.
And so you're just seeing all sorts of crazy shit people are coming up with. And it's fun. I remember when Dark Souls 3 first came out, it was similar. Just like it was the Wild West in PvP land for a while, and it was very fun.
Yeah, I would say there was some exploitables, like people were doing like the Fire of Faith or whatever, and then like somehow there was a bug where you could proc like this death effect on people.
Oh yeah, Fire's Deadly Sin, and there's a death weapon. Yeah, that has been patched now, I believe. All the exploits connected to that spell have been, I think, and thank God for that. That was bullshit. Like that was over the line.
It's not even like fun. It's just like it just like it auto kills you. So that was pretty bullshit. Me and Reese got hit by that one time, and like the thing is, it's like it's not even a good build. Like
no,
you would be so fucking easy to kill if it weren't for like the death build up. But anyway.
That's gone now. at
yeah,
least.
good.
I wonder if there is a tension between like getting PvP and multiplayer balanced and just like the fact that, like, as we've been saying, like part of the fun of this game is that it's like so expansive and there are so many random builds, random weapons.
Oh yeah.
Like
Speaking
I
of that,
can't imagine there's a possibility where that actually gets fully balanced.
yeah, it's
I
gonna be
don't think
hard.
you don't treat it like an esport is my thing. Like there's a while where every game was trying to be the next like Overwatch or StarCraft or whatever, and was really crazy about balance. But like, I don't think that's ever going to be these games. I think the premise of Elden Ring is that
you're
you can
saying
make
that
a
they were
fucked
trying
up
to
overpowered
be
guy.
they're trying to be bad, I guess.
Yeah, esports are shit. Or maybe the next league might be the
Mm,
more apt. Because again, shit game, but
Right.
like
highly
presumably makes
competitive
a lot of
meta.
money. Yeah, but like the point of Dark Souls is like there's going to be things that are just strong or strong if you don't know how to play against them and stuff, and that's part of the fun. And you don't want to lose that
Yeah.
within reason.
And talking about like the just incredibly huge number of items is that like, I've kind of settled into a build. I've got like a strength based guy who's like very much like shield focused, like very defensive, and like I find that this is like a very easy meta to play, like for newcomers like me, because it's like the shields are really fucking good, and weapons like the spear can attack while blocking, and I've been using the pike, which is like a game you get like in the first big dungeon of the game. And it just has an insane reach, and I always catch out invaders with it because they don't get far enough away. And I'm just over here with my shield constantly up, poking people, and it works very well. But I've gotten like a million cool, int and strength based swords, like dex based swords, or like great swords. I've just gotten like a million really cool looking and cool functioning weapons that I just don't have the build for. And I think one of the things that like is really cool about Elden Ring is that as you're playing it, you're picking up these different items, it makes you think about all the different builds you could be running. Like it makes you want to make a character that just runs dual Great Club.
Yeah.
Just fucking Bam Bam from fucking Flintstones as RP character.
Oh my god. Yeah.
And it's just like, and the thing is like any cool character that you can come up with, you can basically do in Elden Ring.
Yeah, I got to do a whip-based character in the future.
Oh yeah, whips look like they'd be very, very cool if you build for them. And so like I came into the game, I was like, I'm feeling a big knight guy. I want to do a knight with like a cool spear and like a huge shield. And it was it's super easy to make that character work in Elden Ring. And it's like almost any cool character, just not like items, armor, sight unseen. You can probably think of a guy and make him in Elden Ring.
I've never heard us be so uncritically positive about a game. We need to start critiquing this. We need to start being mean to it.
Gotta think of some negatives.
It's too long.
It's too long. I've got a big negative. The servers are fucked.
Oh,
I have a feeling they were not expecting this many players because this way more at the beginning than Dark Souls 3, which was their previous biggest. And it's still jacked up. It's hard.
I would say,
all the time.
And speaking about that, I think that this is the best poorly made game I've ever played.
Yeah.
I mean that from a technical standpoint, because even though it's an incredible game, it runs like absolute hot ass on PC.
It really does.
And it's like, it doesn't matter what PC you've got. I think every single person I've talked to has had frame stuttering. Like, it doesn't matter what setting you put it on. You can put it on the lowest settings. You'll still have frame stuttering. And
it's really poorly optimized.
As Kay said, like the net code is just garbage. Like me and Kay were trying to play co-op a while ago, and like they had to join in like 2 or 3 times in order to get it to work. And at one point, it just like stopped, and like K was stopped, like frozen in time. All the enemies were frozen in time, and I was just like, "What the fuck is happening?"
Yeah, and that's crazy because Alton was the fucking host.
Exactly.
Like it was still freezing for him. Like it was. Yeah, it's. I hope to fuck that they're able to smooth that out in patches as they come, because it's not good enough.
I just
right
want
now
it to
at all.
run smoothly. I like it.
Yeah.
There are like small stretches of the game where it runs smooth as silk, and it just gives you like this tantalizing glimpse into what the game would be like if they hadn't made the engine out of like fucking old stale crackers and gum.
Maybe offline is the way to play, because I've I've run into I feel like pretty much the only stuttering I've run into is like sometimes on like loading between areas, or in like a couple of the boss fights where they have like particle based attacks and that kind of thing. But yeah, generally running around, it has been quite smooth for me. So yeah, maybe just like god tier offline mode.
What is the copyright protection do they use? Is it de novo?
I don't think so. Yeah, I think it might be easy anti-cheat or something.
Yeah, they use that.
I'm just wondering if the cracked version removes some kind of like copyright protection that could be causing performance issues, because we all remember like we all remember the fucking Ubisoft games that had that fucking issue. So yeah, Origins had that issue massively, like where people were getting like 100% CPU usage.
Oh yeah,
because of the de novo anti-cheat crap. Fuck.
Yeah, that shit sucks.
Yeah, the most I've seen is that like every time it loads up, you get the like naughty inappropriate activity detected.
Oh yeah,
but could just what are you gonna do?
What's interesting is that it is the same engine, and it seems like the same kind of online system as Dark Souls 3. And that, frankly, ran like a dream, at least on my PC. I never really had like online connection issues. So it seems pretty clear that the open world transition, that they didn't do enough to change those old systems, and it seemed like they thought they could just stick them in, so summoning and stuff can be really weird and janky, and it's I don't know. I think that they need to do more to rethink the summoning system, because it's a more open world game as like compared to the Dark Souls games. There's a lot of things like Alton recently, Alton and Reese were playing together. My understanding is that one of them had killed the boss of Stormvale, and they were trying to summon to kill another boss in Stormvale, but they couldn't because they'd killed Godric, the main boss. And that's a thing from the Dark Souls games. When you kill an area boss, you can't summon people anymore because you're done with that area. But in an open world game, it doesn't quite work like that.
No.
People are gonna be revisiting things more, and there's gonna be more often in this game. There's multiple bosses in an area that you might want to summon for, and it's just like that's such a relic from Dark Souls that is fine in Dark Souls, but now is a bit like.
Why would you do that? Like there's there's like at least 3 other areas that you could use massive amounts of help with. In that area, I can think of 3 mini bosses.
Yeah.
And if you haven't killed them before you take on Godric, then it's just like, well, you're shit out of luck.
Do it yourself,
asshole. And like even for those areas, you don't even get like your Ash summons. It's such a massive oversight in design that it's really strange. I think that's one of the things that's like, I don't know, the most incongruous while playing it is that you'll be playing this game that feels like it's just masterfully designed and just incredible, and then some basic thing is just bizarrely incompetent.
That's the FromSoft experience. That's the classic. I love it.
It's so strange.
Yeah. It's weird. At least they've got the like spirit summon ashes, so you can do something on your own. And I mean, a big part of why the like FromSoft game difficulty discourse I think is bullshit is because the difficulty is you scale it yourself with summons, with bringing friends, with multiplayer. It's I think that's the idea.
Right.
So making that less accessible, especially if you don't know how the boss thing works, if you haven't played Dark Souls, I just think that's
and they never
they're messing it up
explain
a
that
little
that's
bit.
what's happening.
There's a lot of mechanics where they clearly assume you've played Dark Souls and you get how this sort of thing will work. But again, this game is getting way more fucking attention than Dark Souls, and way more people are playing. So there's just gonna be tons of people where this is their first Soulsborne, and they're not gonna know what the fuck any of this is.
Also, like I've played most of the previous Souls games, but there's a bunch of mechanics in this that I still have no idea how they work. Like,
oh yeah, definitely.
I feel
Like the
that's also
fucking
part of the From
menus.
Software experience.
Like the menu, the first time I played the game, I was like, "What the shit is this?" I was like, I had to like figure out, well, like I've got my pouch, so it's not too difficult to like, okay, I can put things into like my the down on the D-pad active slot and like switch between it with that. But then like, okay, but then you hold down Y and it brings up another menu. It's like, how do I put things in there? And it's just like, you have to like go into your menu and go over to the right and then press Y and switch things out in like the quick access bar.
The place where you assign things to those two different like quick bars are in different places. It's like, what is happening?
FromSoft has never been good. Like from my experience, FromSoft has never been good at UI and like readability and like explaining what all these different stats you've got do. Like even on Armored Core, I distinctly remember like taking forever to figure out what all the different stats were for, because they just don't fucking explain. And in this game, to their credit, they put in a lot more effort to tutorialize it and like try to explain things to you. But
there's a lot of tooltips this time around, which is nice.
But they still kind of fall short.
Yeah, definitely. The original Dark Souls was going for this like classic RPG kind of like first edition D&D sort of feel in a lot of ways. And so the weird kind of menu, for me it worked. It felt appropriate in that game. But as their games have gotten kind of sleeker and faster and different, the menu is like, this menu doesn't belong in this game, in this form.
Clunky, weird menu. I'm curious, as a game designer, what's your take on it? Like, I feel like just as a game enjoyer, it is such like a strange mix of like the most incredibly well polished and designed encounters and like minute to minute gameplay combined with just like weird technical incompetence and poor UI.
Well, yeah, I think like it has been very obviously very very fun to play through, and like particularly just like the ambition of some areas, and just like I love playing these kinds of games where there are like so many sort of like recognizable elements of standard game design, but like experimented with in some other way. Like there's sort of new ideas about like how to make an open world navigable. There have been so many moments playing this game where it's just like, yeah, that's such a clever use of a map, or that's such a clever use of like waypoint markers, or things like that.
Speaking of waypoints, that reminds me, while I was going through the tunnel to get into the capital, like the tunnel that the optional tunnel that you can take to get up to the capital area, there was like a fucking boss fight against the magma worm, and like after you kill a boss, usually like a site of grace will appear. Some fucking joker put a message directly on top of the site of grace, and for some reason, immediately after beating the boss, you cannot actually touch the site of grace. You have to just read the message that just says grass. and like I was like, okay, this is some bullshit. So I teleported back to an earlier site of grace, which luckily is only like, pretty close because it's like right before the boss. They kind of give you like two sites of grace right next to each other, which is very lucky because once you respawn in, then like the game will automatically default to touching the site of grace, because it tries to prioritize actionable items like talking to NPCs and climbing ladders over messages, but it's not very good at doing that. So occasionally people will be able to exploit that by like putting messages at like the bottom of ladders to keep people from quickly getting onto it. Which in one particular dungeon, it has like this really tough enemy at the bottom of a ladder. And like there's a bunch of fucking bloodstains around the ladder and like a message right at the foot that says still no ladder. And even though I'd already killed the boss, I like was trying to get up the ladder and it got me like 2 or 3 times before I finally managed to just climb up it. And I was not in a hurry. Oh my god.
I was going to ask on the like, because you mentioned like, yeah, traveling back to another side of Grace. Like, yeah, what do you think of like the kind of fast travel and like the distribution of the sites of grace in this? Because I feel like in a lot of games, for example, the like Skyrim, fast travel just kind of like completely takes out any sense of any like need to explore the world or any sense of like traveling between locations. I haven't found the like sites of grace have had that kind of effect. It's been more like, okay, I'm in this area and I've come up against this boss who I do not want to fight now.
Yeah.
So I'll go to some other location, head back, maybe try a round or two, go to some other location.
I think they've struck a very nice balance. I mean, honestly, I feel like I don't know if I have like the game design knowledge to quite pick out why it works here and doesn't work in Skyrim as much. But it just feels like so much better in terms of exploration. And when you're going through a long dungeon or whatever, you're always just waiting for the next checkpoint so that you can like relax and like like untense. You're like, I've made so much progress here, I cannot die because I need to get to the next site of grace.
Yeah, in the original Dark Souls, bonfire placement was a really, really well done thing where it was always just far enough to sort of create a tension when you're going from one to the other. And this feeling that like you need to get to the next resting point, you're in danger. And I would say as the series went on, they became a little too generous with them. And I would say, if anything, I would like that they were just a little less, a little fewer and further between in this game. But I would say it's still pretty good how they've apportioned it. And it's definitely better than Skyrim, where you can just fast travel anywhere you've been, because exploring is really important. You need to make me run around at least a little bit, because I'm gonna find stuff that I missed the first time I pass through. You know, and they've done a pretty good job, I think, of not making it tedious to have to run all over the map, but not ruining the exploration with infinite, fast travel to every location,
Right.
Yeah, I feel like in Elden Ring, it seems like there are quite a lot of sites of grace and that kind of thing that are like somewhat hidden, or like you might not notice them on the first time you go past. Like there are a bunch of areas where like I've been through and be like, okay, I guess there's no site of grace in this area, only to come back and it to be like directly in front of you. But given that like there's that element and how like sprawling the open world is, I kind of appreciate having more sites of grace, because like in Dark Souls you have that classic problem of like there being the one essential bonfire for this area hidden behind an illusory wall, and like if you don't find that, you're kind of stuck. Whereas, yeah, this it's like more forgiving in a sense, but also means that like they can have more of these just like hidden sites of grace, or areas that are difficult to reach without making it like completely unnavigable.
Punishing.
Yeah.
Also, they gave you a horse. They gave you a horse.
Yeah.
I feel like that's one of the things. I don't know. Like the way they implemented the horse makes it like the most convenient form of transportation in an open world I think I've ever played, maybe?
Yeah, there's no fucking you around. It teleports onto you. When you get off it's gone. It's not like in Witcher or Skyrim,
where your horse is just
you've got
fucking
to worry
there,
about it dying. And
yeah. Oh my god, fucking horses in Oblivion. I never used them just because they were. You would like buy a horse, like get in combat, not be able to attack on the horse, get off the horse. The horse would run a mile into the wilderness, and it's gone.
Yeah,
to go attack a rat.
horses in Bethesda games are a nightmare. Yeah, no, they're awful. In this, it's like you press the button, you're on it. You press the button again, it's fucking gone. Problem solved. This is how every game should do it. Don't make me fuck around with the horse.
Exactly.
Have either of you played Breath of the Wild?
Oh, yeah.
Like I haven't, but like yeah, it feels
No,
like
I
the
haven't.
horse. They took inspiration from the horse in that. Is that right?
Well, Breath of the Wild is funny because the horse actually kind of fucking sucks, but there's a DLC that adds a special saddle that makes it so it will teleport to you.
Right.
So
Okay.
it was only in a post-release content that they made the horse good.
I don't have a Switch, and I haven't bothered to set up emulation. Okay, did you play it legit, or did you,
I played it legit. I got a Switch. I love the Switch.
Okay.
It's really nice to play, and it's got a lot of good games.
Mm.
And Breath of the Wild, before this came out, Breath of the Wild I would cite as the best open world action RPG sort of game. But I would say that Elden Ring has taken that title.
It's incredible how this style of like open world RPG, right? This kind of like I would have really have considered this something that was pioneered by things like the Elder Scrolls. There's like a long tradition of like Western RPGs having like these fully immersed, like explorable open worlds. And I think that there was not nearly as much of that in Japanese games. Like you would have something like, Final Fantasy where you've got like an overworld, right? And it's taken it seems like it's taken a very long time for like Japanese game developers to sort of make their own takes on that. And it's interesting that like some of them have been like better, like way better than the Western contemporaries who have been doing it longer.
It seems like, and I feel like Breath of the Wild might be a big part of the reason why, but it feels like more recently there's a big boom now in Japanese studios doing that. Like there's going to be like an open world Sonic game that they've just released. I haven't played it. That like open world Pokemon game, like all these big franchises are suddenly doing these big open world games. And it's like the West has been toying with this and frankly doing a shit job for the most part.
Literally making it worse. Devolving from Morrowind into fucking Oblivion.
Or worse yet, into like a Ubisoft game.
Devolving from Morrowind into a Ubisoft sandbox open world with just a million little crappy side quests. Like just the map filling with icons of things you need to do. Like in Elden Ring, originally they didn't even have fucking icons for NPCs that you could find. You had to just remember that. Now thankfully they've added, so like the two icons you've got on the entirety of your fucking map is like sites of grace, important locations, and NPCs, and that's it.
You can add custom markers, which is useful, and that's it. It's not you're not following a fucking arrow around, because that's awful. No one likes that. It sucks, man.
The map, honestly, it kind of reminds me of that custom marker thing. That's something that's been around in like immersive sims and RPGs, like from the beginning. Like Ultima Underworld, the first 3D RPG, had a map that you could write shit on.
Yeah, I love that. It's a great map too, because like when you look at it, you can really tell just from looking at the map, like how to get around, what the ways up different cliffs are and stuff. Like it's a beautifully done map. I really love it.
And like organically find interesting areas and that kind of thing. Like you'll spot that like there's a outline of a building here that I haven't seen.
You can tell that they put a lot of thought into the map, because it strikes like a very perfect balance between showing you enough detail to let you navigate around the world, but not showing so much that like it doesn't show you so much that you can use it to like navigate difficult obstacles. Like it just shows you like the rough outline of the place you're going, and you have to like pay attention to what's happening around you, which I think contrasts quite a bit from something like Ubisoft, the Ubisoft open world, where it like shows you like a GPS street level view.
Or Skyrim, where it's just like a kind of camera shot of the world from higher up.
Yeah. And like I really love Witcher 3, but like it's so guilty of just like you're following arrows, and the map is very flat. So you are just kind of, the arrow is in the north. I'm just running in line with the compass until I get there, kind of thing. Whereas in this game, you have to always think about how you're traversing these pretty complex terrains.
Like I said, so much verticality, like cliffs everywhere, mountains everywhere. And like they're not just there for show. Like you have to like figure out how to navigate them. Like there's parts of the game where if you want to get down from a cliff, you have to like jump onto these little like tombstones just sprouting out of the side.
Yeah.
You know, and they've got like these jump pads for your horse that send you like 1,000,000 miles in the air. They've made so much good use out of verticality that it's quite impressive.
I think
you can't Morrowind up the side of a mountain in this game. You got to do it right.
They don't do the Elder Scrolls things where, well, to be fair, in Skyrim for a while your horse could just walk vertically up a side of a mountain.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And yeah, I think like one of my favorite little design elements, with like how you navigate the world, has to be like the little lines coming off the sites of grace, and how they like point to the next kind of essential side of grace. Like that to me is such a like, it's such a clever way of like, it gives you a clear direction to follow and like a clear indication of where the next important thing is. But it's not like a waypoint marker or like a little compass dot on the top of your screen. It like gives you a like direction to head and then leaves you to explore.
Yeah. It's like an NPC being like, yo, go northwest.
Yes.
And you're like,
I
okay,
think the only time there's
go.
ever been like a quest indicator is like that when you kill the undead boatman and then you go back to the round table hold and talk to D, he's like, oh, sweet, you killed this guy. Well, go kill this guy too. And he puts like a little marker on your map.
Yeah,
he marks the portal to go to the Beast Clergyman. There's a couple other things where later in the game at the Volcano Manor they will assign you to like assassinate some people and there'll be markers where their summon signs are. But like that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad they use it in that case because it would be a pain to find them otherwise. But
I think the other thing you can do is you can put down little waypoints, like the pillars of light. And then, I mean, but you put those there.
Yeah, you put markers down.
They don't ever do that for you.
Yeah, you mark your own stuff. The one thing that it shows is when you die and you drop your souls or runes in this game. It shows
you
that.
Fucking need
that.
For
that.
Yeah. You know, that's one of the things that H Bomber Guy talks about in his video with Fallout 3, I'm pretty sure. It's like how, you know, game design changes depending on what crutches you give to the player. Like, there are fucking missions in Fallout 3 where you have to find like a nondescript tiny item on a desk, like in the underground complex, that would not work in any way unless you had like a heads-up display thing showing you exactly where the item was. I think he also talks about this with his latest Deus Ex video, where he talks about how there are a segment of the game where all of that UI gets disabled, and then suddenly the level is actually designed for you to like look around it and explore it without that, and how much better it is.
Yeah, it's like, bro, you could just made the game like that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that the Elden Ring strikes a nice balance of like convenience and like having the actual joy of discovery, because there are multiple times when like I just go back to like an earlier area that I did not explore as well as I thought I did. Like the gate out of Limgrave to like the Storm Highlands. I was like fighting the giant there, and I like looked up and I was like, you know, he's probably dropping down from something. I should go and see if I can like look at where he was. And like not only can you go up there to where the giant is like hanging out and just kick his ass, and there's like items up there and stuff, but you could get into the gatehouse.
Damn.
Like you can do it two ways. You can jump into it like with your horse from the top, and there's a fucking like medallion in there that increases your arrow's range, or you can go on to the right side of it and just go into a door. And it's like, I don't know, it's so interesting, just like how much detail is put into everything. It just really rewards exploration. And maybe not with something that your build can use, but it just fires up your imagination and makes you think about what kind of characters you could make now that you know that this item is here.
Oh, I was going to say, even if it's something you can't use,
Mhm.
yeah, can just check out the item description and get a tiny cool nugget of Elden Ring lore.
Mhm.
Yeah, and like I've got 5 characters that are simultaneously going through the game because you
Mhm.
constantly find stuff and it's like, oh, this is the coolest sorcery ever. I need to make a sorcerer and come back here.
Exactly.
Um, and that's such a credit to how like cool all the stuff in it is. Like in terms of rule of cool, man, this game absolutely nails it. You can do so much cool
Exactly.
shit.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at before. Is that like it reminds me a lot of when I was a kid playing like D&D 3.5, and like the most time I ever spent playing, like I barely played 3.5. I did like a couple campaigns that were fun, but I would say the majority of my time spent in 3.5 was just making characters.
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
thinking of a cool guy and just trying to make that cool guy with the rule set. And Elden Ring has that exact same appeal of realizing that no matter what kind of character you want to play, you're able to do that. Incredible character creation.
And, well, and the character creator itself seems to make much more naturalistic looking characters than some of the previous creators.
It's a lot better this time.
Like I don't know, does it have the same like ceiling of bizarre characters you can make? I like didn't play around with it too long.
Probably, I don't know if it has the same ceiling, but you can still make weird little freaks if you want.
Glad to hear it.
Look, you still make wide little green boys with like, you know, a frog face.
You need your wide green boys. You gotta have them.
You gotta have wide, like little chode men who are wider than they are tall.
Just every slider at one end.
Exactly. Just short as possible, wide as possible. I think I'll make I think I'll make my dual club character that. Like just and name him Chode.
Chodenan the Barbarian.
Chodenan the Barbarian. Exactly. All right. Well, do you guys have any other points that you'd like to bring up? Because we're probably running out of time for this, and I'd like to get to one more thing before we close out.
Oh man, I feel like that there are a million other things we could talk about. Oh yeah, just one thing. While we're talking about the map, I don't know if this is right or if you've noticed it. Like, are there some areas where the map is like inaccurate? Because like I feel like I've spotted some areas where it's like the map says there should be like a spur of rock here going out into the ocean, but there's nothing.
I think it's very deliberate, like the level of detail they put in the map or the lack of detail they put into the map. Because it like leaves
what's
surprises.
happened here is recent.
It leaves surprises to you, you know. And I think, you know, maybe it could be a thing where it's like this is a map made in such and such year, and like some of the changes aren't reflected on it, which would be very interesting.
Yeah, like is there an in-world explanation for the map?
I have no idea. That's a good thing to check.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, as person who's put the most hours into this, any sign of the cartographer yet or anything?
No, but you find these map pieces at these weird like pillars throughout the fucking map. And there might be something about it. I don't know. There's a really interesting point. The village of Albinorix, which is the southwest of Liurnia. And if you go there, you will begin to realize that what you're navigating is not reflected on the map, because the village is kind of under this big like overhanging cliff. And what you're seeing on the map is actually what's on top of that cliff that you can only access later in the game via a specific quest line.
Yeah, Ranni's quest line.
Yeah. And I was wondering for ages, like, what the fuck is up there? Why doesn't this look like where I am? And I think that also tells you a bit about the village and how it's this kind of like forgotten afterthought. You don't get the impression the kingdom really gives a fuck. It's like they got like a poison swamp all around them. Like this is a backwater that is not even on the map, basically.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like there's a lot of stuff like that, like blink and you'll miss it stuff in the game. You'll never find everything. You don't need to do a 100% run, and I don't think for your sanity I would not recommend a 100% run. Kay apparently will be doing a 100% run, but
do a run and then spend like hours and hours reading the wiki.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
Watch fucking Vadi videos. He'll
Yeah.
sort it out for you. Save your marriage, save your job, and
Save your
let him do
save your grades.
it. Save your grades. Yeah.
Yeah.
One last thing I'll say about this game is I think most open world games suck, and I hope that this is even half as influential as Dark Souls was on like every like third person action RPG and Metroidvania and stuff. And I hope that everyone looks at this and is like, oh, that's how you make this game good. That's how you make Elder Scrolls good. That's how you make I don't know, Assassin's Creed good. Just fucking steal from FromSoft. It's what half of you did with Dark Souls, and it improved almost every game that did it. They're better than you.
like-
Just fucking steal from them.
So many games took the wrong lessons from Dark Souls, though. Like
That is true. That is true. But when I think of like, for me, God of War 4 is the big like, this is a series incorporating the right lessons from Dark Souls
true,
and
yeah.
being so much better. And I like the original God of War games, but God of War 4 is fucking great. Like I want more of that.
All right. So unfortunately, I think we'll have to skip the topic of wizard anti-Semitism for now.
Aww.
Yeah, I know, but believe me, the Steam dev goes on anti-mask rant and patch notes is quite good.
That's fine. We could do a whole episode on Harry Potter.
Yeah, that's a
Pretty
whole
much,
episode.
yeah.
So,
Although it would be good to have you back on for that, just because we've got the track record of you having the only good wizard game.
well, happy to be back. Like, I will probably just be playing Elden Ring if I'm not appearing on podcasts. So
Excellent.
Yeah,
Same.
I'll probably be doing that instead of editing this podcast. So I look forward to this being out in 2 months.
Coming out in June. Let's go.
All right, so this is from there's several sites, but it's Steam Game Devs patch notes includes anti-mask rant. Users immediately revolt. This is for an indie game called Domina, which is like a management combat game that's supposed to simulate being like a gladiator or whatever.
I think you're a gladiator like owner.
Yeah, it's a management game with gladiators. You're like a gladiator manager. But it's really not the most important thing. The most important thing is that this is like a return to tradition type idiot with a V. Return to tradition. And this is one of his patch notes, all right? Are you guys ready for this?
Ready.
Yes.
All right, Domina version 1.3.18 beta. Fixed. Minister might not buy wine, water, even when it's available in the market. Fixed. Charioteer stops whipping horse during second race. New. Voxel mode drawing resolution ×2. Optimized. Gladiator render blah 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 blah. Optimized particle dust effects rendering drawing plus FPS. Take off the fucking masks. Next time you're at the grocery store, try showing a woman your face. Be confident, unafraid of the lies, .. You might get a girlfriend. Women like confidence. Women don't like dudes who cover up their faces in fear. What are you afraid of? Getting laid? Grow up.
oh my god.
Oh,
That's
my
not
God.
a patch note at all.
No, that's there's a lot to unpack here.
Yeah.
And since they put this in their patch notes, they've kind of been getting review bombed by a ton of people, going from mostly positive to overwhelmingly negative.
I love unsolicited advice on how to get a girlfriend from game developers. I think they should do this all the time.
It's incredible.
Helpful.
This isn't even the only time he's done this. So in an earlier patch, 1.2.89 beta, he's got like the regular patch notes. I won't bother reading through that, but here's where it gets interesting. New, unarmed men will sometimes fight instead of just running around looking for weapons. Then like there's an asterisk that sometimes. It's like some men still won't fight. They're weak. There's no accounting for weak men. Weak men lack character. Strong moral fiber is hard to come by. It's earned through hard work and sacrifice, and it cannot be had via OnlyFans or Pornhub. No, those fucking things are demonic possessions waiting to show you a succubus titty in the hope you'll waste the load on her instead of spending that energy studying how to weld or grow a potato or learning a new language or how to program a computer.
That's true. Every time you nut, you
lose a
can't
skill.
learn
You
a new
forget how to
skill
weld.
after. Yeah, you can't learn how to weld if you just fucking came.
All your welding energy gets scooped out. Oh fuck. Listen,
Yeah.
kids, ... Get off them porn tubes and do something with your life, because no one is gonna give you a goddamn thing, and this whole mess we call civilization is only getting harder. We need solutions, and we need smart men who can work hard and implement those solutions.
Yeah, smart men like this guy who's telling
This
you
brain
don't jack
genius.
off or society will collapse.
Masturbating to e-girls isn't gonna solve the energy crisis, is it? Get to work.
Oh my god.
And then below that, it's like ... or play video games and have a relax and then go to work fresh tomorrow. I can't possibly know what's best for you in your individual situation. Really, don't let strangers on the internet tell you how to live your life. If you want to be told how to live your life, read the New Testament. The internet will only tell you lies.
Oh my god, this guy fucking rules. That last bit was written in what I can only assume is post-nut clarity.
Oh.
I love how throughout that it's like listing off all these other things you could be doing, and then just like every time it's like
And then play video
anything
games.
game related.
My video
yeah, it's like the
game.
shameful last thing in the list. It's like you can learn to weld and cut wood.
I would say video games are far more of a masturbatory time waste than actually jerking off. Like,
Yeah.
Mm.
Unless you make a real fucking evening out of it.
yeah, I mean, I've played 4-hour sessions of Elden Ring, and I'm not better as a human being. I enjoyed my time, but it's like I didn't learn how to weld or a language, you know? It's like jerking off, that takes like what? 10 minutes? Like it around like the longer side. It's not that it doesn't take nearly as much of my my anima,
Your mana.
my energy being to accomplish, like compared to some video games. And this guy is just like, yeah, you should play my video game too and read the Bible.
I'm gonna say as well, like I haven't like looked up this game or anything, but if it's a management game, that's going to be one of the biggest time sinks you could possibly.
Definitely.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to play this. It might even be on my wish list, but probably not gonna buy it now.
I would just like to know, David, as a person who has games on Steam, when will you be adding notes like this to your patch notes?
Well, yeah, it's clearly it's a missed opportunity.
Put the entirety of the Communist Manifesto in one of your patch notes.
That's a
Spectre
patch.
is haunting Europe.
And then
I can
tell people to stop jerking off.
While you're spending your time jacking off, you could be reading Marx and organizing your union.
That's true.
That would be
That's
that would be
true.
fucking amazing. Just to have like that fucking take. Just like, oh my god. This guy, like, I went to this guy's Twitter, and he is like one of the most repulsively pathetic human beings I think I've ever seen. There are a couple things that mark him out as such. For one, he's like retweeting groypers and like Elon Musk, which is just like the saddest thing you could possibly do. And here's a little tweet from his Twitter that I want to read out to you guys, just for, you know, context. He is Canadian. All right?
Ew.
I know, disgusting.
The biggest red flag, yeah.
Another gang member of the Commonwealth of Crime. Here we go. I don't want to see or hear Justin Trudeau anymore. Stop spreading his message, collaborators. Cut ties with anyone who points a camera at him. Stop investing energy in employees of the CBC. Unfriend, unfollow. No more pearls for swine. We need you, soldier. Harden.
Fuck are you
Wow.
talking about?
Now, personally, I would also not like to see or hear Justin Trudeau anymore. So I can sympathize with that, but I think that saying that you are a soldier and you need to harden, I mean, that kind of goes against his earlier message of anti-FAP, kind of.
That's true. Oh, this it's accompanied by a stupid photo of like a Centurion helmet.
Exactly.
Listen, I will bet you $1 billion that in fact, any one of us knows infinitely more about ancient Rome than this fucking loser. It's pure, just like aesthetic
sure.
fetishization.
Yeah.
Listen, everything I learned about ancient Rome, I pretty much got from the YouTube channel where the guy animates like the little dots running around on the screen.
Oh yeah.
What's that fucking from?
Shout out to the little dots guy.
Shout out to the little dots guy. He does like little Roman legions. Oh, Historia Civilis, which is a pretentious as fuck name.
Oh my god, yeah. Don't do anything like in Latin or whatever.
No,
It's cringe, and you're posting
pretty
it on
cringe.
YouTube for all to see.
but I do like their videos, unfortunately.
I just learned about it from books like an idiot, so I don't.
Yeah, fucking history major over here. Talk about
Oh, fucking college over here.
Mr. College Boy over here, just fancy pants books. Not good enough for us lumpen proletarian who learn all about the world through through shitty YouTube videos. Oh my god. There's another patch. This is the Domino 1.3 beta where he's just talking about the multiplayer patch. It just like blah 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 blah. Please be patient and report bugs to the forum. Supporting the developer with cash money because he lives in a socialist utopia where nothing works is the best way to ensure timely updates. Buy the first wave of DLC and then the soundtrack, and we'll do our best to keep going into work every day despite civilizational collapse. And then the point underneath that is no way John McAfee killed himself. Highly dubious. Highly fucking dubious. And this isn't his fucking multiplayer patch. Oh my god.
This guy's so unhinged. I love him.
And by the way, the socialist utopia, I would like to remind you, is Canada.
Fucking idiot.
I know. Just fuck this idiot. Oh.
So he's whining because he needs money because Canada's socialist. I don't even get his fucking point.
I don't know. It's so like looking at this guy's like posts. It's just so incomprehensible. Like just weird anti-FAP activism garbage.
Well, I was just reading through the full patch notes on Steam.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, you've got like the March 9 patch note with the anti-mask grant.
Right.
And there's one patch note since then, which is a single line long.
Yeah, I mean most of his patch notes are just like regular patches, right? You know? They're just like, oh, I fixed some technical issue, but then he just for no reason puts in like insane screeds about how how your vital life forces are ejected through semen.
So then there's loads of negative reviews, and a lot of them are talking about the stupid shit he said. A lot of them are also saying that this guy removed content from the game and then resold it as DLC. So he's also a dick.
Yeah, that's capitalism,
in like a
baby.
business sense. Well, see, why? Because he lives in the
Socialist.
known communist nation, Canada.
The most communist a country has ever been. Canada.
That's right, Canada, baby.
Holy shit.
Under Justin Castro Trudeau.
Yeah, people often forget that's his middle name, and I think it's important to say it.
Indeed. Oh my god. But yeah, I knew we'd have to do this on the show because it's one of the funniest rants I think I've ever read.
I love it. I'm gonna be adding things like that to the descriptions of my YouTube videos from now on. I think my viewers need to know they got to stop jerking off.
David, as the only person who can actively replicate this feat, we expect you to put
I will have to.
We need strong
unhinged.
warriors for
yes.
I don't know, something.
We need to save our seed so that we can learn how to podcast.
Yeah.
All I'll say is God bless people who actually read patch notes.
Right.
Ugh.
So before we go, I want to read my favorite negative review.
All right. Read
it's a short, sweet. Unfortunately, I can no longer refund this.
Right.
Playtime 2.1 hours.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah.
Short and sweet. Love it.
Beautiful.
It's a tragedy. It's a tragedy when someone's like, you see, like, I don't like this game. 2 hours, 1 minute.
Yeah, you just ticked over 2 hours and then saw the patch notes and were like, fuck. I have this now.
All right. Well, I think that's just about everything. So, David, why don't you tell us where people can find you, what you're working on, and some games of yours they should check out.
Yeah, on Twitter at Celestia3. All my games are up on itch, under Celestia, a couple up on Steam as well. Yeah, currently, as I said, mostly working on my Elden Ring playthrough, but
like everyone else.
Yeah, still working on a bunch of different prototypes. Kind of come back around to do you know Kim Philby, the Soviet spy who became the head of anti-Soviet activities within the UK intelligence services in the 30s and 40s?
I'm not familiar with him.
No, me neither.
Well, legendary character. Starting work on a espionage thriller loosely about him. So
Okay.
We'll see if that arrives.
Do you get to summon a horse in your game?
You do not.
How many sorceries can I use?
It's so unfair that other games have to be compared to Elden Ring at all. It's not a fair competition.
I'm looking forward to being mean at Bethesda's next game whenever that happens.
Me too. Elder Scrolls 6 is gonna suck major ass. Just like the track record they've had, the last 3 or 4 games, it's just been awful. I mean, the latest big RPG was Fallout 76, which less said about that the better. But Fallout 4 was also just wretched.
Yeah.
I think people are going to be shocked how similar the new Elder Scrolls is to Skyrim, even after all this time. That's my prediction.
Well, we're going to get their space one first, I think.
Oh, yeah. Space Room.
Yes. Which, people will probably be shocked how similar that is to Skyrim.
Oh, it's so fucking bad. They just use the same formula every time, and they're using the same engine they've used for 30 years.
It's bad.
At least it means you don't need to learn any new console commands to.
I guess. True. All right, Kay. Where can people find you?
Right. You can find me on Twitter at KandSkittles, where I almost never post about how you shouldn't be jerking off and we need warriors for I don't know, Christ's army, or I don't know what this deal is. You can find me on YouTube at KandSkittles. I make videos and you have to watch them or you'll die. That's not a threat. That's just a thing that'll happen. And I stream on the weekends on Twitch, KandSkittles. Come and watch me kill everyone in Elden Ring until everyone learns how to dodge the good sorceries, and then watch me lose a lot.
All right, you can find me at 8alton8 on Twitter. You can find my YouTube channel at Alton Plays, where I occasionally upload clips of gameplay, and will eventually upload the entirety of all the episodes of Vigatuto eventually. And also, you should go follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Alton8, because I want to get to 50 followers before 420. This is a personal goal of mine. So go check me out on Twitch, please. Please.
Do it.
I'm following you as we speak.
Hell yes. But besides from that, I hope everyone enjoyed this episode. We're probably all too busy playing Elden Ring to actually listen to a podcast, but who knows? Maybe you listen to them while you're just riding around on your horsey, because that's fun.
I do that sometimes.
It's excellent. All right, so until next time, bye everyone.
Hey.
Goodbye.